Nebraska, a year ago, finished 3-9, was well documented, played a lot of teams really close. 8 games by a score is what they lost. I mean, 8 of those 9 losses by 1 score. That's tough. That's really close. So you finish the season, you say, gosh, dang it, man. We just had a few more pieces. Maybe, just maybe we get over the hump, get to a bowl game. Well, Vegas, talking about expectations, puts Nebraska over-under win total at 7.5. That gave me the idea. Let's just talk about what you can expect. Vegas has already told you what you can expect from a win total perspective, but let's talk about just on the field product. When you're watching a Nebraska Cornhusker game, what can you expect to see that might look different than it did a year ago? First and foremost, you're going to see improved quarterback play, and that should be a given. No knock on Adrian Martinez. He does a lot of things really well. I think he's going to be phenomenal at Kansas State. I root for the guy. However, down the field a year ago, I mean, we talked about his ratio on here multiple times, 14 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 3 fumbles. I understand he added a lot on the ground, 13 rushing touchdowns, but just throwing the football. If your offense is just built to throw the ball, which Nebraska actually will be built to throw the ball this coming year, anytime you're throwing the football to the other team about as much as you put it in the end zone, that's tough. It's tough to win. It's tough to get the game going. It's tough to have any sort of continuity when it comes to drives and all this, that, and the other. So Nebraska's going to be better at quarterback. Why? Well, they got 2 of them in the portal. You got Chuba Purdy from Florida State, who a lot of people are excited about. And then you have the presumed starter, Casey Thompson. Scott Frest, I love what he said at Media Days. He just said, we're going to put them both out there. Casey Thompson's going to be the first guy to go with the ones. Whoever plays the best is going to be our starter. Credit to Scott Frost. But ultimately, if Casey Thompson is your guy, he brings to the table just a better production level, 24 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. So you already have a better jumping off point from what your quarterback brings to the table in terms of stats perspective and just more reliable downfield. All that's to say, at the very least, you know you have someone who is more capable throwing the football at the quarterback position. Ultimately, that just means your offense can be more two-dimensional. You're going to be able to pass to set up the run, which, as we've talked about, Nebraska is going to look to do. So that's first and foremost. Improvement at the quarterback position. Next, I'm looking at the defense. And last year, Nebraska's pass rush was relatively non-existent. I mean, they were 86th in the country in terms of sack percentage. But this coming season, they beefed up a little bit, went to the portal after losing some guys on the defensive line they didn't expect to lose, came out with Stephon Wynn from Alabama, Devin Drew from Texas Tech, both guys that have played at the Power 5 level, guys that should add a boost to that defensive line. And then the guy that I'm really watching, the guy that I think this whole conversation is centered around, is Ochaun Mathis. Transferred from TCU to Nebraska. A lot of people thought he was going to go to Texas. Nebraska sneaks in at the last second, get him on a visit, get him to Lincoln. And he is going to be someone that changes the complexion of the way that teams try and attack Nebraska. Because Ochaun Mathis, you have to at least consider double teaming him. It might not be every snap. Maybe it's every other series. Maybe it's once a series. I mean, I don't know what it looks like in terms of how you try and defend him, or try and block him rather. But you have to give him more attention because he's coming off the edge. He's a freak show. He's got really good speed. He gets to the quarterback consistently. So you have to give him some attention. Now, we've talked about it on this show before. Anytime you have to give Ochaun Mathis extra attention, say you have to double team him one play. Well, on that one play, you have one less guy accounted for blocking somebody else on the Nebraska Cornhusker defense. So with the guys they've beefed up on this defensive line, adding Ochaun Mathis is a key ingredient to just throwing a whole other wrinkle into what teams have to now do when they play Nebraska. And when you have one more guy blocking Ochaun, you have more guys getting free, getting to the quarterback. So will it be a top 10 pass rush defense? I'm not ready to say that, but it's going to be better than 86th in the country that it was a year ago. This game is very simple. People make it complex, but it's very, very simple. Football is about keeping your quarterback comfortable, allowing him to do good things, and about making the opposing quarterback uncomfortable. improvement with Casey Thompson being the guy now for Nebraska is going to hopefully allow them to be more comfortable on offense. And then having Otron Mathis beefing up the defensive line through the transfer portal is going to allow them to make the opposing quarterback a little more uncomfortable. So two really good things. Nebraska's trending the right direction, and Vegas says as much with their over-under win total. So you look at the over-under win total, you say, okay, even if we don't hit 7.5, let's say we hit 7, we're still bowl eligible. That's awesome. I mean, 3-9 a season to go to have a 4-win improvement. That's great. I'm not here to talk about the over-under win total. What I am here to say is I think you can expect Nebraska to be bowl eligible, wait for it, by Halloween. Okay, so before we even get into the month of November, Nebraska will have locked up a bowl spot. And here's why. Look at the schedule here. We start out with Northwestern abroad. Depending on how you feel about Ryan Helinski and Northwestern and all that, they're going to be favored by a lot. Nebraska is. Okay, so I think right now it's like a 2-possession or 2-score at least advantage to Nebraska. Okay, so let's just chalk that up to a win. Then you got North Dakota, Georgia Southern. No disrespect to either of those programs, but you should win both those games. You play Oklahoma. It'll be a tough game. It's at home. We'll see what Oklahoma's working with. We'll see what Nebraska's working with at that point in time. Let's just say, for example, that game doesn't go your way. You got Indiana, I think you can win. So we're at 4 wins. You got at Rutgers, which should be a win. At Purdue, we'll see what they're bringing to the table. Again, we're not giving you a overall, overarching, encompassing win total, but you play Purdue and then you play Illinois at home October 29th. So assuming you beat Northwestern, North Dakota, Georgia Southern, Indiana, Rutgers, and Illinois, folks, that's 6 wins. You're bowling before the month of November. Those are all very winnable games. I would expect Nebraska to be favored in a fair amount of those games, if not all. You see where I'm going with this? To be 3 wins in 2021 and to have doubled that win total before the month of November, that is a great thing for Nebraska. And I think we're talking about Scott Frost keeping his job if that happens, which I, for one, would be very much in favor of. I think he's got a lot of momentum. They've done a lot of things right on the field. We just haven't seen it translate to the win column just yet. And sometimes that's the way it goes with these programs. Sometimes you can do everything right. Your system's in place. Your process is great. You have a great week of practice. You have the right guys on the roster. And bounce the ball here, bounce the ball there. 1 score in 8 games. It can happen that way. Football's funny that way. I think this is the year where we start to see some ROI, and I think we see it really early on as they become bowl eligible before the month of November. Nebraska fans should be fired up. I think there's a lot of good things in store for the Huskers. Very, very much in favor of voting on improvement for Nebraska this coming year. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.